Welcome back for another module with the Outdoor Education Centres. Over the last few weeks, we've challenged you to get outside and start to observe the changes that are happening in the natural environment. In the last month, as we've moved from winter into spring, we're starting to see that the colors are changing and that many of the plants and wildflowers are starting to emerge. Many of these changes in nature can provide inspiration for art. So our module this week is going to be art in the outdoors. The natural environment can provide inspiration for many different types of art. Sculptures using natural materials, journaling, painting, or creating and building with natural materials. We'd like to encourage you to get outside, to observe in the natural environment and create art in your communities. Let's join the instructors as they share some of their favorite art activities.
One of the plants that I've been observing this spring and looking for changes is this tree right here. And what first drew my attention were these large buds at the ends of all the branches. You can see it's loaded. It's starting to change now, but imagine my surprise after the winter snow cleared and the landscape started to fill with color. You could see green again. There were some of the earliest flowers appearing here in the area. As I watched this, just wondering what it was going to become. And now I can see inside there the buds opening and some others around here that we've got some vibrant pink starting to show. I can tell that flowers are going to be forming, and this tree will just be covered with these vibrant dark pink flowers. Now, one of the things I've been doing for my art project is coming out and observing and taking my journal, just a pencil, and I've been sketching what it is I find out here. So I'll look closely at a bud like this, make a sketch of it, record the date, and I'm watching it over time and trying to track those changes and seeing how it develops. I want to know what's that flower going to look like. Now, if you want to do the same thing, it doesn't have to be with a tree. It can be with a flower that you find somewhere near your home. It could even be with a plant that's inside your house already. So I'm going to watch this and make some sketches, maybe add a little bit of color and see just what this turns into over time. I'd like to take you through those steps and kind of a sped up timeline. We can see each of my additions to the work of art that I'm working on. Now, I have to say, I don't consider myself an artist, and making art in nature doesn't mean that you have to be an artist. I mean, if you have some kind of inspiration and you're able to communicate that in some form that you enjoy, then you've created a work of art, regardless of what other people say. So if you follow me through, let's take a look at the steps that I followed and I'll show you what this flower actually looks like. Okay, rather than wait a couple of weeks and watch it over progression, I wanted to share this with you. So all I've done is look around in the area, and you may notice I'm in the city here. There's traffic going by, there are other noises. But I've looked around here in this area and I've found other trees that have the same flowers, that have the same buds developing, but are further along. So I'm able to actually get a picture or a timeline of the plant by finding different trees in different stages of their growth. And this is what I have to look forward to on the other tree. If I really want to know this plant and I want to finish my drawing, I have to take it through a whole year. And that means coming back to the same spot, looking closely at how these fruits are going to develop and figure out what happens when these flowers are pollinated, and what are they going to turn into now in the late summer or the fall. After doing that, I'll have an excellent idea of a year in the life of this tree. So I hope that you can find something in your neighborhood, a plant that you can watch and see it change and record those changes in some artistic fashion. So you find what works for you, and I would love to see your work too. So if you're willing to share it, please send it to us. Let us know if we can share it with other students, and we'll create just a whole gallery here of this spring art in Ottawa.
One form of art that lends itself perfectly to the natural environment is ephemeral art. Ephemeral art is non-permanent, meaning that it doesn't last forever. It's made using dead natural materials that you find in your environment. One example of ephemeral art that we're going to do is a nature mandala. Mandala is the Sanskrit word for circle. So when we create a mandala, we're going to have a center part and everything is going to radiate out from that in a circle. You often can see these patterns in nature, for example, with a pine cone or a flower.
So you start by collecting various natural objects that are dead and down. So you want to make sure that you're not picking anything that's alive or rooted in the ground. Whatever catches your attention, you want to find a space and clear it away so you have a nice area to work with. And from your space, you're going to pick a center point and put a special object in the center point of your mandala. I've chosen a cone here. And around it, I have some leaves that I'm arranging. You notice everything's circular and trying to even it out there. Make it symmetrical. So if you have colorful dead and down objects around you, then that may stand out to you more, and you may want to collect those. I found some tiny little red maple flowers that I'm putting down. They don't stand out too much, but up close they do. I have some boughs of white pine that I found, and I'm going to arrange those. Again, just picking a pattern. There's no set rules to it. Some cones in between. All around, making sure everything's as symmetrical as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect. One of the beautiful things about ephemeral art is that it changes over time, and other people can come along and add to it. So we're going to see David come along here and start to add to the piece of artwork that I had worked on. So adding some more layers of things that stood out to him. So he has some more evergreen that he's adding along. Again, keeping it symmetrical. There is a famous artist that does ephemeral art, and I encourage you to look him up. His name is Andy Goldsworthy, and it may give you some more inspiration for some of these beautiful pieces of ephemeral art.
Another form of art that you can do in the outdoors using natural materials is rock balancing or stone stacking.
This form of art is ancient. It's been done for thousands of years, and it's still done today. Here along the Ottawa River at Remick Rapids, a local artist named John Soprano sets up several of these beautiful pieces of balanced artwork. You can easily do this around your home by collecting several different shapes and sizes of rocks, finding a quiet spot to sit and concentrate on balancing your stones one on top of another while building a beautiful piece of art.
My challenge for you is to get outside around your house or in your local green spaces, collect some loose, dead and down natural objects, and create some ephemeral art like mandalas. Or you can get your hands on some rocks and practice the ancient art of stone stacking.
I will be focusing on visual arts for today, and some of what I'll be inviting you to join me on is similar to what David is doing. So you'll be representing what you see in the natural world on probably paper or in a notebook, and it would be in the form of a sketch or a drawing, and you can even use paints or charcoal, anything that you have at home that can make marks on a paper, a piece of paper, or you could even do something in the sidewalk in your neighborhood. Just making marks with your hands is what I will be sort of asking of you. And also using the natural world, the environment, things that you're seeing and finding outside as your inspiration for what you're maybe going to draw or represent on that paper or sidewalk. This activity can be done indoors or outdoors. And so today I'm in my house. I've brought a couple of things that inspired me while I was out on my walk. I didn't have the arm space. I was with my dog. I didn't have space to be carrying a notebook with me or to stop for long. So instead of doing my journaling and my drawings outside, I brought a couple artifacts from outside indoors. And so this can be a great thing to do on a rainy day when it's wet outside and you don't want to get your paper wet. So I brought in a stone that I found, a pine cone. I have some different leaves and branches and needles from a couple different trees. And so I am going to attempt to add these items into my nature journal. Now, of course, this activity can also be done outside. You can just step out your back door or stop by at a local park with your notebook or a piece of paper and just draw something that interests you. It could be a wildflower or some flower in somebody's garden. Maybe you notice a frog or an insect and you want to try to draw that in your book. Now the challenge will be to try and do this sketch or this painting or this drawing within 1 to 5 minutes. So the idea is that it's not going to take you very long, and I want you to focus on the quantity, how many of something you draw or how many times you draw something versus the quality. So oftentimes we can get really caught up in trying to make an image or a drawing or a piece of art look perfect. And I know for myself, that never goes really well. So in order to improve our skills, whether it be learning how to read, learning how to dance and prepare for competitions, or try to be an amazing soccer player, with anything that we do, the more we practice it, the better that we get. And that's because your brain is actually making new connections. And when you do something over and over and over again, you can actually reinforce those skills. So my challenge to you will be to make marks on a piece of paper or some sort of surface like a sidewalk with chalk every single day for the next 21 days or 3 weeks. And the idea with this is that you're not going to try and make perfect pictures. You're just going to draw something. You're going to be practicing those hand motions. You're going to be recording your observations. If you get stuck or you're not sure what to draw, just take a walk around your house or take a look out the window. There are so many inspiring and interesting things to give you ideas of what to recreate or represent in the natural world.
I think I'm done. So I've been out here and I saw this log today and it gave me an idea. It got me thinking. I saw the pieces that the beavers have left behind from their chews. This is a tree that the beaver had taken down and all the bark has been stripped away. And I saw a ladder. Do you see a ladder? I created all the little bits and I've created a ladder, but how do you get to the tree without the ladder? So I created a ramp. And at the bottom of the ramp is maybe some food to give whatever creature is using this ladder to climb up this tree some energy. Do you ever create things when you go out in nature with the things that you find? And then maybe create stories about what you've created? Or maybe you've heard a story and want to create something for the characters in that story. Well, when we go out into nature, we can use so many amazing things that are on the ground already to create pieces of artwork. Now, I could just wipe this all away and go on my way, kind of erasing my art, or I could leave it here for someone else to see and maybe add to. That's one of the great things about creating in nature. I've made sure everything that I used was already on the ground. I found some of these little, maple flowers that have fallen, maybe a few leaves, and I added it in. Some sticks that are already on the ground, and I can add that into my ramp. We don't want to break things off of trees that are still alive, especially these ones that are just getting the leaves, because we want them still to be able to grow. So we always want to use things that we find on the ground already. Have you ever created something? Maybe this is inspiring you to go out into nature and create something. My friend Evelyn listens to podcasts called Little Stories for Tiny People, and they've inspired some artwork of her own. In this one, she's created a boat for the creatures in her story. Another day, she had created an entire house for them to live in. I love your creativity when it comes to using items in the natural world. So my challenge to you this week is to get out and create something from what you discover in nature. Remember, be kind to nature. Don't rip or tear anything that's still attached to the ground.
This week, we're going to do our follow-up video a little bit differently. Instead of answering student questions, we're going to ask you to send us in examples of art that you're creating in the outdoors. We'll compile them into one video and share it with you in a few weeks. So please use the link below to share your nature-inspired art with us. Until next time, enjoy the beauty of the changing seasons and be well.